Hi, my name is Charlie Weaver. I am the Director of Network Services at Georgia College. So that's kind of my current role. I've been there for about 4 years. Before that, I was at Florida Gulf Coast University for about 17 years. I'm technically still at Georgia College. However, I'm temporarily on loan to Fort Valley, where I am the interim CIO. And I'm supposed to be the CIO for the next 6 months, give or take, depending on what happens with the search that they're going to be doing. My personal identifiable, I assume there's just some background information on myself. I've been in higher ed for a little over 20 years. Before that, I was in the private sector. I worked for the same company for about 10 years, maybe 8 years. Been in Florida, Virginia, and now Georgia. I have 3 kids that are all over the age of 21. The youngest is 21, the oldest is 26. I have a grandson who's about 16 months old, who is just a joy to be around when he's not screaming. And I got engaged on Christmas Eve, so I'll be getting married sometime in June. And I'm into old cars. I have a 65 T-Bird that's in the garage that I'm working on. I have a 65 AMC Marlin, which most people haven't ever heard of. And I really enjoy working on cars. It's a way of relieving stress, as well as I like to play video games, which is a very good stress reliever, because you can kill things, blow things up, and smash things without getting hurt or without hurting anybody else. How did I get interested in higher ed? I was in the private sector, and I was unhappy with my job. I didn't like what I was doing. I didn't like what the company was doing. And I was supposed to be in IT, but I really wasn't. And I happened to see a job for a school that was being built down in Florida as a network engineer, and I reached out and eventually got the job. It wasn't that I intended to look for higher ed, but once I got into it and I learned how higher ed worked and some of the benefits of it and the mission that they have, the vision that they have, then I started to buy into it. I really enjoy working with students. I like the change that goes on in higher ed, the passion that most people have for it, the camaraderie, the ability to work on things in groups, the diversity that's out there. It all adds into it, as well as I think it's a different culture than what you get into a lot of the private sector. So that's one of the reasons I stayed into it, and that's why I continue to stay into it. As we all know, if you work for the public sector, it doesn't pay nearly as much as the private sector, but my quality of life is much better. My ability to do things, my growth, my ability to take classes and or extend myself has been so much greater in higher ed than it might have been anywhere else. And so I do quite enjoy it a bit, and I plan on retiring here in 18 years from now, unfortunately. So how does higher ed governance play a role in my current and or future work? Well, with IT, we deal with governance all the time. A lot of the things that we will enact or bring about as changes to technology, as security measures change, we could just push those out there and say, this is how it's going to be done, but that's not going to get the buy-in that we need. It's not going to be the way that universities are built. One thing I do want to point out, and I think most people are going to get this, and I have to explain it to my staff sometimes, is that there's a difference between policies and procedures, where procedures are things that we as a department write and are how we do things and are kind of the management side of what we're doing and trying to maintain things. And the policies are more that governance. I've worked with governance committees on several different initiatives that we wanted to move forward with some type of technology or some type of change to how we were doing things. And we wanted to bring in all the people that we needed to, the staff, the faculty, some student representatives, so that when we were creating these governing documents, these governing bodies that were going to help guide us, we had input from them. I think that's one of the things that was, when we were doing some of the readings, it really helped solidify. I thought I had a decent understanding of it. But then when you read some of the other definitions, where they talked about democratic, where they talked about varied, where they talked about it being more than just a managerial kind of thing, that really kind of resonated with what I found with higher ed and all of the different groups I've been on. So I look forward to learning more about governance and to how we might be able to use it and to help form it and help create coalitions that are going to be better for us long term. And I look forward to meeting with everybody in class and exchanging those ideas and getting to know everybody.